Welcome to today's video about symptoms of psychosis. What if the mind started slipping, slowly, quietly, and you didn't even notice? What if your thoughts felt hijacked, your reality twisted, but no one around you could see it? Millions live this nightmare every day, often without even knowing what's happening. Here's something most people don't talk about. Psychosis affects nearly 1 in 100 people worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. That's over 78 million people silently battling voices, paranoia, confusion, and fear. The scariest part? For many, the symptoms begin subtly. A strange belief here, a shadow that moves, a voice that whispers your name when no one's there. And still, it goes undiagnosed until it's too late. Why don't we hear more about this? Because mental health awareness often takes a back seat to more visible illnesses. But that silence costs lives. In today's video, we're exposing the 14 early symptoms of psychosis, the ones backed by real science and often missed by family, teachers, and even doctors. Stay with us till the end because we'll also share a powerful tip on how early action can protect someone you love. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. Have you or someone you know ever experienced anything like this? Please note, this video is for informational purposes only and not a substitute for medical advice. All research is verified. References are linked in the description. Now let's break down the early warning signs, starting with the very first one. Hallucinations. It can start as something small, like hearing your name when no one's around. Maybe a voice calling out in a quiet room or footsteps that vanish when you turn around. These moments feel real, even if others don't notice anything. And that's exactly what makes it so scary. For many people, this is how psychosis begins. When the brain struggles to process reality, it can create false sights or sounds. These are called hallucinations. The most common ones are voices, not just random noise, but voices that comment, argue, or even give commands. It's not about imagination. It feels real. That's what makes early detection so hard. A recent 2022 study in JAMA Psychiatry followed over 3,000 adolescents and found that those who experienced frequent auditory hallucinations were 5 times more likely to develop a psychotic disorder later in life. It shows how important it is to take these signs seriously. You're not alone if this is happening. It's more common than people think, especially in young adults. What matters most is paying attention when something doesn't feel right. Your mind is trying to tell you something. Please listen to it. Next, number 2, delusions. You know that moment when someone starts believing something that just doesn't make sense, like thinking a neighbor is spying through their walls or the TV is sending secret messages? That could be more than just a quirky thought. It might be an early warning sign of psychosis. These false beliefs, called delusions, often show up before any full-blown episode. They start slow. At first, the person might only hint at suspicions. Then it gets stronger. The belief grows until it feels completely real to them, even if it sounds impossible to everyone else. What's scary is how deeply these ideas take hold. A 2023 study published in Schizophrenia Bulletin found that 78% of people who later developed psychosis had delusions as one of their first symptoms. And these beliefs didn't fade. They became more fixed over time, even with clear proof they were wrong. That's why early signs matter so much. If a friend suddenly thinks their food is being poisoned or they're being followed, don't brush it off. It might feel uncomfortable to bring it up, but noticing it early could help them get support before things spiral. Next, number 3, disorganized speech. You're talking to someone and their words suddenly don't make sense. They jump from one idea to another, or say things that don't connect at all. That's not just being distracted. It could be a sign their brain is struggling to organize thoughts. And in many early psychosis cases, this is one of the first things people around them notice. This kind of speech pattern is often called loose associations or word salad. It's not about forgetting a word here and there. It's when the structure of communication breaks down. A person might say, "The sky is blue and I like coffee because turtles swim fast." It sounds confusing, even random, but to them, it feels perfectly natural. A 2024 study published in Nature Mental Health used AI models to analyze speech patterns in youth at high risk of psychosis. It found that subtle language disruptions, like poor coherence, predicted who would later develop full psychosis with 83% accuracy. That's powerful. If someone you care about starts talking in a way that feels disjointed or off, don't ignore it. Speak with them gently. It could be their mind's early cry for help, hidden in their words. Next, number 4, paranoia. It often starts with a feeling that someone's watching you. Maybe it's strangers on the street. Maybe it's your coworkers. You brush it off until the thoughts won't leave. You double-check your locks. You avoid certain people. You start thinking, what if they're trying to hurt me? That's when it becomes more than just worry. It becomes paranoia. This kind of intense fear can be one of the earliest signs that your mind is struggling to separate real from imagined threats. It's not just anxiety. Research shows that persistent paranoid thoughts can be a doorway into psychosis. You might believe someone's tracking your phone or reading your mind, despite having no proof. These beliefs grow stronger over time and begin affecting how you live and trust others. A recent 2024 study published in Computational Psychiatry found that nearly 70% of people at high risk for psychosis reported paranoid ideation months before their first psychotic episode. That means the fear didn't start with voices or visions. It began with mistrust. The brain misreads social signals, turning neutral expressions into threats. If you or someone close is struggling with this, don't ignore it. Fear like this isn't just in your head. It's a signal your brain might need help. Next, number 5, social withdrawal. You know that feeling when you just want to be alone, not for rest, but because people feel overwhelming? That kind of disconnection can quietly creep in long before anyone realizes something deeper is going on. People on the edge of psychosis often begin pulling away from close relationships, skipping gatherings, avoiding eye contact, and shutting down emotionally. It doesn't happen all at once. You might notice them spending more time alone in their room, ignoring calls, or suddenly becoming distant, even with their closest friends. It's not just shyness or introversion. Research published in Schizophrenia, 2023, found that social withdrawal often starts months before full-blown psychotic symptoms show up. In fact, the study followed over 2,400 individuals at high risk of psychosis and reported that 72% had already shown signs of social isolation before other symptoms appeared. That's a massive warning sign, especially in teens or young adults. It's painful to watch someone fade like that, and they might not even realize it themselves. The earlier this change is noticed, the better chance there is to step in and help. If someone you care about is drifting away without reason, it's not just a phase. It might be their silent cry for help. Next, number 6, flat effect. When someone close to you stops reacting with emotion, even in moments that used to bring laughter or tears, it can feel confusing. You might notice they speak in a dull, flat voice, or their face stays blank, no matter the situation. This isn't just a mood issue. It's an early clue that something deeper might be affecting how their brain processes emotion. In early psychosis, this emotional shutdown is often called flat effect. It's not about being shy or tired. It's the brain struggling to connect emotional signals to real-life events. They may feel things inside, but it doesn't show on their face or in their voice. This disconnect can be painful to watch, and even harder for them to explain. A 2024 study in the Frontiers in Psychiatry found that emotional blunting, especially flat effect, appears months before full psychosis in many cases. Researchers used facial recognition software and found a 62% drop in emotional expressiveness among high-risk individuals compared to healthy controls. That's not just a small change, it's a powerful early red flag. It's easy to miss at first, but when the smile fades and doesn't return, it's time to gently pay attention. Next, number 7, catatonia. You ever notice someone just sitting still for hours, not blinking, not speaking, and barely moving? It's more than just zoning out. That stillness can be an early red flag, one most people miss. When the brain starts to misfire in certain ways, the body follows. What looks like frozen behavior could actually be a sign of something deeper taking hold. Psychosis. And the scary part? This can show up before the more obvious signs like hearing voices or believing strange things. In a 2021 study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, researchers found that nearly 9% of individuals in early stages of psychosis also showed signs of catatonia. That's not a small number. They weren't just unresponsive. They were stuck in repetitive movements, locked in odd postures, or even refusing to eat. These weren't isolated cases either. The patterns were clear and repeated across different age groups. What's happening here is a breakdown in how the brain controls movement and response. When psychosis starts brewing, that control can start to slip. It's not just mental, it becomes physical. If you've seen this in someone close, don't ignore it. You might be witnessing one of the earliest cries for help. Next, number 8, inappropriate emotions. Someone close to you might start laughing at a funeral or suddenly cry while watching cartoons. You'd think they're just reacting strangely, but sometimes it's more than that. When emotions don't match the moment, like joy during pain or no reaction during a crisis, it can be an early red flag that the brain is struggling to process reality properly. This kind of emotional mismatch isn't just awkward, it's unsettling, both for the person experiencing it and the people around them. The brain's emotional filter seems off. That's because certain parts of the brain, like the prefrontal cortex and limbic system, aren't communicating the way they should. This disruption changes how someone responds emotionally to the world. A 2023 study published in Psychology Research and Behavior Management found that altered emotional expression was present in over 45% of individuals during the prodromal stage of psychosis. They weren't faking it or being dramatic. Their brains were signaling distress through misplaced emotions. If you've noticed someone close showing these mismatched feelings often, don't ignore it. These emotional glitches might be the mind's way of asking for help, long before words can. Next, number 9, lack of insight. They often don't see what everyone else does. A person may be hearing voices, acting differently, or saying things that don't make sense, but still insist they're completely fine. This isn't stubbornness or denial. It's something deeper happening in the brain. The medical term for this is anosognosia, a genuine inability to recognize that something is wrong. This early warning sign shows up in nearly 60% of people experiencing a first episode of psychosis. It affects how they view their thoughts, actions, and reality. You might notice someone refusing help or getting defensive when you express concern. That's because their brain truly doesn't register the problem. It's not just denial, it's neurological. One study published in the journal Schizophrenia, 2023, used MRI scans to reveal that this lack of awareness is linked to reduced gray matter volume in areas of the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-reflection and decision-making. This brain change helps explain why insight fades so early. If someone close to you is going through this, it's not just about convincing them. It's about compassion and patience. They're not ignoring reality. They may simply be unable to see it. Next, number 10, trouble concentrating. People often mention brain fog during busy days, but when that fog becomes constant, especially in attention and focus, it may mean something more. Early in psychosis, this loss of focus doesn't come and go with mood. It sticks. It can quietly disrupt reading, remembering conversations, or staying on task at work or school. A 2022 meta-analysis looked at more than 5,000 young people at clinical high risk for psychosis. It found subtle but real cognitive dips, even before clear psychotic symptoms emerged. Compared with healthy peers, they scored lower in visual memory, executive function, verbal learning, processing speed, and pre-morbid IQ. These weren't massive changes, but they were consistent warning signals. Think of it like a car engine misfiring early. Not enough to stall, but enough to feel hesitation. In this case, the engine is your brain's focus and processing speed. That hesitation could show up as difficulty concentrating during a conversation, drifting off mid-task, or rereading the same sentence multiple times. If you or someone you care about keeps running into this fog, and it's not just occasional stress, it might be worth a conversation with a mental health professional. These early signs can offer a chance for help long before things worsen. Next, number 11, sleep disturbances. You might think poor sleep just means stress or too much screen time, right? But when the tossing, turning, or waking up in the middle of the night becomes a pattern, it could signal something deeper. People who later develop psychosis often report strange sleep changes months in advance, like staying awake for days, sleeping during the day, or vivid, disturbing dreams. There's something important happening in the brain here. Disrupted sleep messes with how your brain filters thoughts and emotions. That line between what's real and what's imagined, it starts to blur. One large-scale study published in The Lancet Psychiatry in 2023 found that treating insomnia in at-risk young people reduced their psychotic symptoms by nearly 30%. That's huge. It means sleep isn't just a side effect, it's part of the cause. The researchers also discovered that sleep disruption affects dopamine levels, which play a major role in hallucinations and delusions. This isn't just a theory anymore. It's backed by brain scans and months of patient follow-ups. If your sleep cycle feels completely out of sync and you feel disconnected or oddly alert at night, don't brush it off. Fixing your sleep might just protect your mind. Next, number 12, rapid mood swings. These sudden, unexplained mood shifts can feel dizzying. One moment you're upbeat, the next you're irritable or tearful without warning. This kind of emotional instability isn't just moodiness. It can be an early warning sign of psychosis emerging. Scientists often see these swings during the prodromal phase, the before the storm period, when the mind is beginning to tip toward psychosis. A 2024 article in Nature Molecular Psychiatry analyzed electronic health records of nearly 27,000 individuals in the years preceding serious mental illness. They found that mood instability was significantly more common in those later diagnosed with psychosis than in those who developed unipolar depression, effect size D equals 0.51. That places mood swings among the more notable early indicators across severe mental disorders. Your emotional brain relies on balanced neurotransmitters, like dopamine and serotonin, to stay steady. When those signals begin fluctuating, so do your mood responses. That's why emotional swings, like going from calm to agitated in minutes, can reflect early shifts in brain chemistry before any classic psychosis symptoms appear. If this resonates with what you're going through, take it seriously. It can feel like random moodiness, but it may be your mind signaling that something deeper is stirring. Talking with a mental health professional could catch these early changes and help you feel seen, supported, and more in control. Next, number 13, memory problems. It's easy to brush off forgetfulness as stress or lack of sleep. But when your mind starts mixing up names, places, or recent events more often, and without a clear reason, it could be something deeper. People at the early stage of psychosis often experience subtle changes in how their brain stores and recalls information. This isn't just about losing your keys. It's more like forgetting entire conversations, missing appointments, or struggling to recall what you just read. In real life, you might meet someone and moments later blank out on their name even after repeating it, or find yourself rereading the same page because it just won't stick. These aren't just slips. They're red flags when they come with increased confusion or detachment from reality. Researchers have found that these memory disruptions often show up before hallucinations or delusions even begin. A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Psychiatry, Cognition found that working memory deficits were one of the most reliable early cognitive markers in individuals at clinical high risk of psychosis, with over 75% showing measurable impairment. If you notice these patterns in yourself or someone close, it's worth paying attention. The brain speaks in whispers long before it shouts. Next, number 14, self-harm. It often begins with a quiet struggle no one sees. A person might start cutting, burning, or hurting themselves, not to seek attention, but to escape a storm inside. What many don't realize is that this behavior can be one of the earliest signs that the brain is beginning to lose its grip on reality. A massive 2024 study from Sweden, published in Psychological Medicine, followed over 1.4 million people. The findings were chilling. Those who had been hospitalized for self-harm had a 13.9 times higher risk of developing psychosis later in life compared to those who didn't. The lifetime risk jumped from just 3% in the general population to over 20% in the self-harm group. That's not a small number. What this tells us is powerful. When someone hurts themselves repeatedly, especially without clear reasons like depression, it might be their mind trying to cope with confusion, voices, or distorted thoughts. It's not just pain, it's a warning, and it deserves attention before things spiral further. And that's it for today's video. If you found these symptoms eye-opening, or if they reminded you of someone close to you, don't ignore it. Early awareness can truly change a life. Now it's your turn. Have you or someone you know ever experienced signs like these? How did you manage it? Please share your thoughts or story in the comments. You never know who it might help. And if this video was truly helpful to you, kindly type "helpful" in the comment box. That small word gives us a big push to keep making more content that matters. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from our channel. Stay safe, stay informed, and always take care of your mental health. We'll see you in the next one.